Hi, everybody.
Hey, Anne Marie.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How's everybody else doing? Louis, I'm going to take roll. I've got the sheet right up in front of me. So anybody that joins, can you make sure they text me so I
Yep.
can.
Yep.
All right, who do we have so far? We have Dan. We have So Louis, before we get started, why don't you talk to us about your running and let us know how your the last we saw you were at what, 11-minute mile?
Yeah, it's not getting much better. It's not getting much better. But I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. You know, it's all good. I'm getting that 6 minute. Don't you worry, Anne Marie.
Do you think that we should call a special guest, Dusty, on here one day to talk about who's faster?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Louis, is he a faster runner than you?
I don't know. I don't think long distance. No, he might. He's maybe a. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
We have to
I don't
text
think
him.
Yeah, shoot him a text. He had some knee replacements, so I'll give him an excuse. But anyways, alrighty. Well, guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm not starting at the highest energy as I wanted to because it's having some technical difficulties, and we're still going to have a great class, and it's still, you guys are still going to walk away with definitely some information that you can use for your listening presentations coming up for sure. So it's just, it's going to be a little bit clunkier than I wanted it to be, my presentation, just because of difficulties with command, but that's okay. We're gonna make this work. All right, so let's start. Let me go over, set the stage. So we're talking about listening presentations today. And like I start every class, there's so many discussions that can go into a listening presentation. So much time can be spent on all these different arms off of a listening presentation. You know, we could spend a half hour talking about how to come up with comps. You know, that could be a class in itself. We can spend another half hour going over every single objection that you can get in the listing, which we might touch one or two today. But my point is that, you know, I just want to set the expectation that, you know, my goal is to make sure you guys walk away with a foundation and an idea of how to conduct a listing presentation on your own. And then as far as all the additional stuff that can, you know, come off of the listing presentation, comps and things like that, we can definitely set up time to do that at another time. All right. As I stated before, don't let me, you know, stating that stop you from asking questions though. So still ask any questions you have, and if it pertains specifically to the listing presentation, I'll address it. If it is something that, you know, calls for a longer discussion, I'll just say, hey, you know, Cole, let's set up a time to talk about that, you know, tomorrow or something like that. So don't be nervous about asking questions. Just ask it anyways, and we'll handle it if it's appropriate for this time. All right, what else can I tell you? I think that's it. So let's get into the groove of things. So who in the call either by saying yes in the chat room or raising your hand if you have the video on, has conducted a listing presentation before? Nancy Long, why ain't your hand going up? I helped you sell listings. Come on. So I know Nancy Long has. All right.
Oh, she's
great.
on mute.
She's on mute.
There, mute. Yes, so we've had listings.
Yes. All right. Great, Nancy. So you're going to be my partner today. Great. Perfect. So other than that, let's get started here. So let's talk about going into the listing. Well, I'm going to bring up Command. Let's give me 1 second to bring this up. Let's see. Share screen and Command share. All righty. Okay, so I am in the listing presentation template in Command. So everything you're about to see is everything you guys have access to as well. I didn't even touch this. I didn't edit it. I didn't do anything to it. This is exactly what you guys have. So you guys will see how far along Keller Williams has already helped you with your listing presentation template. It's so, the presentation of a listing is easier when you have like a listing presentation guide to kind of guide you along through the appointment. Instead of like showing up and kind of like winging it, if you have a guide, it'll literally tell you, okay, you flip the page. All right, I should be talking about this now. And then you flip a couple more pages. Okay, it says I should be on this section now. So it'll really help you create a nice flow to your listing appointment. Now, with that being said, you should definitely practice your listing appointment before you do the real thing. And so what I would suggest is for you to reach out to someone, you know, in your coaching group and say, hey, do you have, 30 minutes, I don't know, sometime this week for me to practice with you real quick. I just want to go over my lesson presentation, because it'll show, like, if the first time you're going through the listing presentation guide is in front of your seller, it'll show a little bit. And even if it doesn't show, what I can guarantee you is if you show up without doing it once or twice versus if you do it once or twice and then show up, it's still going to be totally different. It's going to be much better. You're going to be more confident about what you're saying. And it's going to show to your seller that you're more confident. So I highly suggest like just running through it with someone. Obviously that someone can even be me if you guys want to practice with me. All right. So in here in Command gives you a whole bunch of pages as far as on the templates. And they say, hey, this is what we got. You go ahead and customize it. And you may not need all these pages. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, I do not include every single page that Command offers. Because I'm of the mindset that I rather be very sharp with a few pages than be like not show myself as much of an expert with 30 pages. So for me, like, I don't need 30 pages for me to be effective. And so if there's pages in here that will hinder you being effective on your presentation, like, then take it out. Or if there's pages in here that don't like uplift, the value that you bring specifically, if they don't do you justice in your business, take it out. There's pages like, my expertise, all the properties I've sold. Like, don't put that in there and have one property that you've sold. Like, that's not doing you justice. All right, take that out. My stats and my numbers, like, you can use the office stats if you want in that case, but if not, take it out. That's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, like, I guarantee you're not going to be in front of a seller and they're not going to say like, oh, well, you didn't bring, testimonials, or you didn't bring this. Most of them are not. Like, they don't know what they don't know. And so just take it out. They're not even going to know it's missing. Okay. All right. And so, like, what I was telling you as far as like where I was at as far as my frustration getting on this call is that there's 2 or 3 times where I went through this and picked everything I wanted and put together exactly what I wanted to present, and almost every single time, as soon as I got closer to the end, it reloaded and erased everything every time. So now I'm going to be going through pretty much all the pages with you guys and kind of doing it on the fly, but again, it'll be fine. The first thing is in your presentation is you want to have an agenda. Like you want to show them, your client, what the agenda is for today's meeting. And that's even with the buyer consultation, whoever was on the buyer consultation call too. Like you always want to say, okay, this is the game plan today, guys. You know, I'm going to touch on this, this, and this, you know, and it's probably taking about 30 to 45 minutes. Is that okay with you? Always go through that and always confirm with them. Because like I said last week at the buyer consultation, you do not want to be 55% through your presentation and then they stand up and say, hey, I got to take, you know, Tommy to karate, you know, sorry, we got to get going. And you didn't even get the listing contract signed, and you didn't agree on a price. You didn't do anything that was the most important. So always agenda, this is how long it'll take. Is that okay? Yes, that's okay. We don't have anything else going on. Let's do this. All right. The next, so when it comes to the pages here, so I would include, this is me, you guys don't have to. I'm including the first page, the listing presentation template. You can keep this picture, you can change the picture. It doesn't really matter but I would probably, and you can obviously take this template word off, of course. Just keep the word listing presentation. Let me see here, give me 1 second. If you want, you can even start your guide on this page where it says a custom consultation exclusively prepared for Maria and Chris Roberts. So this would even be a good first page for your listing presentation. And you could either print out this presentation, or you could, you know, digitally like download it as a PDF, and this, you know, if you have an iPad or if you have your computer, you can just kind of flip through it digitally with them as well. Like either is fine. That's up to you. You can always do both. You know, you can always just keep a printed copy. You can keep a printed copy with you and then bring the digital platform. That way, if you're having, you know, technical difficulties like I was experiencing just now, you can always just pull out, you know, the printed copy. Whatever is easiest for you, whatever your style is, there's no right or wrong with that. Oh, and one thing I got to mention too, like as I'm looking at my screen, I can't see the chat box. So if you guys have questions, just interrupt me. You know, this is a setting that interruptions are welcomed. Okay. All right, and then your information will go down there. That's self-explanatory. So I think that's a page I would keep. So here it talks about, it shows what the agenda is. So they already gave you a page, you know, with your agenda. Okay. Let's see, I might be able to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. I'll actually put this down bottom. Perfect. So they already give you a page with an agenda. So it goes through, you know, your property, your guide, your custom marketing plan, and representing your home. So again, you can edit this if that's not the flow that you want. All right. I'll go through with you the flow that I like, me personally, but again, it's totally up to you guys. So for me, like they go in right into like your property, and they talk about the property and the neighborhood and the comparables, and then they go into your needs. Me personally, I would go into their needs first, is me. So this page here would be next for me. Let's see something here. All right. So yeah, so this page will be next, because I always found like I had some success in appointments when I was able to really connect with the seller first before we got into all the business and things like that. Like I want to build some rapport with them. I want to show them like that I care about, you know, why they called me out here today. And so if you could start the process out by instead of lecturing and giving a presentation, like talking at them, like soon as you come in the door, and maybe spend 10, 15 minutes asking questions, because presentation, like versus asking questions, they leave two different feelings with people. You know what I mean? Like if you guys have ever been in a setting where, you know, maybe you're one-on-one with someone and all they did was talk like at you, and they just said, you know, told you this and told you that and told you, but they never really asked a question like and gave you a chance to, you know, explain how you feel. It doesn't feel the greatest. And so it's the same thing with sellers, is like they got, you know, all this stuff going through their head, like, oh my gosh, how are we going to sell this? How are we going to move here in time? And is our house, you know, worth enough? And then they have someone come through the door and all they do is just talk and talk and talk about, you know, marketing and things like that. And they never really ask them questions about, hey, how do you guys feel? How can I help you guys out the best way possible? So that's what I would do is start here with your needs come first. And on this page, they give questions already. It says, what's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream reality a real? I'm sorry, let me repeat this. What's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario a reality? So before that, over here, it says visualize your dream scenario for selling your home. So, I would be sitting there and I would say, all right, guys, like, I want to start off by talking about your needs as my clients. And I'm specifically saying that up front, my clients. Like, you guys want to use like presumptive clauses where you're already assuming they work for you, because it does work. So I want to, talk about your needs as my clients. And so let's take 30 seconds and I want you guys just to visualize what the dream scenario is of selling your home. And then, as awkward as it sounds, I would wait, and let them kind of think about that. And then that's when I would go into that question. So what's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario a reality? And then you let them answer. Just be quiet. Don't give them the answer. Silence is okay. And then whatever their answer is, then you follow it with, how can I make that happen for you? All right. And then you ask, why is that important to you? So the first question, you're uncovering, like, what's the one thing that has to happen for them to have a great experience. The second question, you're figuring out logistically how you can make that happen for them. And then the last thing, you're figuring out what's the motivation behind them wanting, it to work out in that way. All right. And then you don't stop there. You go one more. If you could add just one more thing. So you should come out of this little, segment with at least two things, that whether it's, hey, it's all about Lewis, it's for us, it's all about the timing for us. Like, the number one thing for us to make this a dream scenario is if we can go from here to there in this amount of time. All right. And then, how can I make that happen for you? Well, if you can get this listed within the next 2 weeks and get it sold within the next 25 days, it can happen for us. Awesome. Well, why is that so important for you to be from there to there in that amount of time? Well, because if I don't get to there in that amount of time, then X. So you see, that's how that conversation would go. All right. And then what you're doing is you're going to keep their answers and keep it in your mind, embedded in your mind, because you might need to refer to it later when they kind of forget about it. And then they're like not fighting you, but maybe they're, I don't know, they're kind of debating with you over price or things like that, or commission and things like that. And then you can pull that back out and say, hey, I'm only suggesting this because, Bob, you told me that you needed to be from here to there in that amount of time. So I'm just suggesting the solution to make that happen. If that's not important to you anymore, then we can talk about another strategy. But if it is, then this is what we need to do, so you can use that later. So don't forget about it. Cool. All right. So then after that part there that you talked about them, you made it about them in the beginning. I find that it's even good to turn it around and talk about yourself a little bit. And when I say talk about yourself, has nothing to do with real estate for the most part. Like, I'm saying, like, let them get to know Nancy Long a little bit, or Dan Hagen, or whoever it is, Lewis Nixon. Let them get to know like you a little bit. You know what I mean? Because again, it just creates a different atmosphere. It's so much more relaxed and stuff. Like, you know, if you're able to kind of just break down that ice, that it's just like not so tense and, oh, this is a big time business meeting and, you know, da 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 da, we're interviewing him, and like, no, like, let's get relaxed about this. I want to get to know you and you get to know me. Like, it does create a totally different vibe, in my opinion, you know. So I would let them get to know you a little bit, tell them, you know, where you're from, a little bit about your family, you know, maybe tell them past the work experiences, you know, what you like to do for hobbies. If you're not selling houses, like, just be open with them. You'll notice, because at the end of the day, like they always say, people do business with other people that they know. So at that point, they know of you, people they like and they trust, you know. So if they don't like you, then it's going to be hard to get the business. So you want to kind of try to build that rapport in the beginning. All right. The next part that I would go to is the process. So that's this page here. You know what I might do is, give me 1 second. Let me see something. Is there any questions so far as I'm just doing something really quick?
I have a question, Lewis.
Yes.
Are you able to reorganize the order within the presentation before you download it, or does that have to come after you've downloaded it?
Yeah, great question, Renee. Yes, you can. So that was like my frustration, is that I spent all the time like reordering this. And so how you do it is that, let me get this Zoom thing out the way. All right, here, if you click this pages button, every page that I clicked on then shows up here in my pages section. Let me move this again. So then what I do is, let me see here. All right, there it is. So show all pages. So here are the pages, and then yeah, you can easily just grab it and you can just reorder it. Just take it where you want it. All right. Then you can even delete this one, delete that one. So you delete the ones you don't want as well. All right.
And
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The showing all pages, that button is where?
It's right here to the right.
Okay.
Yep.
And you can do this after you download it, because I was struggling with my buyer's guide this morning on that issue, trying to get rid of pages that I decided I didn't want in there, and then I'm going to reorder.
Yeah. So Nancy, you can do this before you download it. So what I would do is I would edit it. I would reorder it, and then once you have a finished product, then download it to your computer. All right.
But if you already downloaded it and you had edited part of it, but you now have some additional edits and you want the pages, do you have to go back and redo the whole thing?
No, I think if you save what you've already done and you go back to your design, like this is called your design, then you just have to just change what else you want to change. Your other edits should still be there.
But that's after you've put it as done, right? I mean, you know, that you saved it.
Yeah, you have to. No, you're fine. You have to save it for sure. So you know, you edit it, you get it all the way you want it, you save it. At that point, when you save it, it'll be in your personal library in Command. And so once it's in your library, you can download it, print it, and take it wherever. But if you ever need to go back and change anything, you go back to your design and then you edit whatever else you want to edit and then save again. Does that make sense? So it's almost honestly, it's almost like a Word document. You know, it's like you do whatever you want to do on your Microsoft Word document, you save it. You can for sure print it and download it if you want. But if you ever want to go back and edit it again, you just go back, edit it, and save it again. So it works pretty much the same. Good questions. All right. Let me see here. Let me get this out the way. Okay, so now we're getting the process up here. What I was going to do is I was going to download everything to see if I could make it a little bit bigger. But again, I don't want to keep you guys waiting for me to do that because it might take a minute or two. So let me just go back to the process on here. Okay, so this is the process. So if you look on here, they already kind of give like a step-by-step guide to the process on here. Now, again, I think I said this before in another class, Keller Williams International made this for everyone. So it's not tailored to Pennsylvania's process. So it's our job to go through this and edit it as necessary. So like the biggest one I would say right here, begin attorney review. You know, we're not like an attorney state where we're, you know, settlements are held by attorneys. So we don't need this to be in our process.
Louis,
Right,
can you increase the size of that?
right now,
Yeah, I can't read it all.
we'll try,
Should I-
let me see.
Louis, this is Joe. If you scroll down at the bottom, you should have a zoom. Scroll down up the window, at
Oh.
the bottom right.
Thank you, Joe. Is this better, Joe? Is this to your liking? No, thanks for speaking up, Joe, because if you couldn't see it, probably no one could see it.
Like, are you going to go through, what is the attorney review? Are we going to go through that kind of stuff, or is this an overview?
No, so this is an overview. If you what we'll do is, you know, one-on-one or another time I can do another class to go through specifically what every single one means. But there is no, to answer your question, Drew, there is no attorney review in Pennsylvania. You don't need to have the deal reviewed by an attorney. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so what I would do is, again, my point is, I guess by bringing this up is that look at it, edit it as needed. You can run it by me and say, hey, Louis, does this process look fine? But most of these are pretty good. They're pretty much in order. The only ones, again, I would take out is attorney review. I think the established competitive price is not necessary right there. But everything else is pretty good. You know, the initial meeting and walkthrough, then they sign the agreement, then you prepare the property for sale, staging, photography, launch a coming soon campaign, and then I would skip this and go straight to officially list your property, launch a just listed marketing campaign, start showing your house and hold a virtual open house, receive and present offers, negotiate the contract, go under contract, facilitate inspection process, negotiate any issues, oversee the appraisal that's going to happen, coordinate and prepare for further inspections. The only further inspection at this point would be the UNO inspection if there's one, but if there isn't any for that, then you can take that out even. And then the walkthrough and close. So, I mean, it's other than one or two, it's pretty much spot on to what we would do. All right, perfect. Okay, let's move on here. So after going through the process with them, the next thing I would touch on is the market. Hold on here, give me 1 second. Sorry, give me 1 second. We're having scheduling conflict with the Zoom account. All right, sorry about that. We had other people, yeah, anyway, Zoom scheduling conflicts. So I might get a text or two that we got to figure this out, how we might have to finish this meeting. But anyways, I'm going to keep going until I get the text. So the next thing is I would go from the process